Oh yeah, Coco, Coco mi guay. Hey. Sapli e tequilo, ang service ka pa malo. Simpanigan su peso, su ipiti me kakaigo. Sa ou fe, se sa ou we. Yo pensei pa ve tu ve. Kana we di shoje bona we. Somewhere do for me someday, yeah. Oh yeah. Power boni boko say. Mun creo pa prosome. Power la clewe con la soleil. Wasing is away. Mama for today. Oh yeah. Coco, Coco mi guay. Hey.
Come on in, y'all. Happy Saturday. Good evening, Petra. Like and share.
Mettez si vos couches de miel. Parce que c'est pas tous les jours qui Noël. Hell, bouche femme c'est pour manger. Là-bas et barbet quand je vais. Si la manière pour la vanter. Même passion bonne pour pencher. Oh yeah.
Happy Saturday.
Papa Bonnie beaucoup c'est. Mon crayon pas prendre sommeil.
Come let's have a little power.
What's in his away? Mama for today. Hey.
Hi Enrique and Petso, Sakafet. Ricky, you want to know if it's Dr. Trippy or Dr. Trippy?
Our only focus.
Come on in, y'all.
Moon crayon pas prendre sommeil. Power la clé comme un soleil. What's in his away? Mama for today.
Carlos, Sakafet.
Power only focus. Moon crayon pas prendre sommeil.
Like and
Power la
share.
clé comme un soleil. What's in his away? Mama for today. What's in his away? Mama for today. What's in his away? Mama for today. What's in his away? Mama for today.
Yo, happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Come on in, come on in. Like and share. Let's do what the people do with the algorithm sources. Yeah, like it and share it. One of the best musicians, the voice of this man, Halibut, Bells Combo, from the 1970s. Yeah. Y'all, I'm Dr. Triffy, aka Dr. Tripping. I want to welcome you to it's a continuation. It's a part 2 of a meaningful conversation. A few people have asked me, why are you doing these conversations with Mr. Paul? I'm doing them because, number one, I think we need a little oxygen in our democracy. Number two, I think the biggest reason was I went home in the spring and some things hurt. Some things hurt, especially when people from my village were telling me they didn't feel that I should even speak and share discontent, with something I thought was problematic. And I said, well, what do you mean? What is going on? That person didn't feel comfortable talking. And I think that's horrendous. I think that's very sad and not necessary. I think we participate and we say yes to things by not saying no to things that we need to say no to. So, one of the reasons I'm talking is because we're in a democracy, and our leadership should welcome the voices of the people, should welcome talking, right? Where there has to be hand clapping, we hand clap. Where there has to be chastising, we chastise. Where there has to be pointing out, hey, from your perspective, we don't think you're seeing this, and we see it this way. That's how we keep our democracy vibrant and we keep Dominica growing. So these are some of my reasons for continuing to talk. So I'm going to welcome Mervyn. Mervyn is the former director of the Government Information System or Services in Dominica. Mr. Paul, welcome again.
Hi, how
Again.
are you? How are you? How are
I'm
you?
doing well. I'm doing well. I'm doing
Yeah, I'm
well.
here, man. I'm here. Blessed to be alive today, and
Yes.
certainly happy to be on with you again.
Yes, yes. Man,
Hmm.
last time we went so long, I went and crashed. I was like, what is going on?
Please,
The people
please,
didn't want
please,
to leave.
please tell the people we're not going to be that long today.
No, sir, no. I don't care if you all say you all want to camp out. No, we ain't doing that
Yeah, yeah,
today. No. We had an almost 5-hour conversation
yeah. I know.
last time. And seriously, I was starving. I was just hungry. I was eating up the whole fridge. So
Yeah.
so tonight, y'all, my intention is to keep my conversation as I tend to do, an hour, 2 hours max, two
Yeah,
hours max. Okay.
yeah,
So whatever questions you all have, you all better put it in there before that 2 hours is done, because
yeah.
I need to go rest myself or go enjoy my little Saturday
Yeah.
evening. Okay.
Yeah,
Yay.
yeah.
So, Mervyn, all
Hmm.
systems must go through audits. All systems must go through audits. It's a good
Hmm.
thing. Most of us don't enjoy audits. I don't know many people who enjoy an audit, except an auditor. The auditors, they come out with their lists and they check, 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 But in the
Yeah.
end, after they leave, I have frequent audits at my work. So
Hmm.
after they leave, I always though feel, oh wow, I'm happy we went through the process, because there were things we were missing. We had blind spots over there, or there are these things over there we're doing so well. Let's pat ourselves on the back. And
Hmm.
so this is kind of an audit. I don't know that I I feel like this is kind of an audit. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, in the real sense of the word, yeah. It's always good to look back. It's good to gauge. It's
Hmm.
good. If you in business and commerce, I remember growing up as a boy, you would hear them saying, "This store is closed for stock taking." So the slight difference with this one is this store does not close for stock taking. It stays open while you can take stock. And
Hmm.
in fact, you take better stock when this type of store is open. So essentially, the point is that it's very important to
Yeah.
to to evaluate and to gauge sentiments and gauge reactions and
Hmm.
that kind of thing. Sort of use that as your barometer.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
So here's another question. What have
Mhm.
been some of your thoughts and feelings? And I'll share mine during the 2 weeks, because it's been 2 weeks
Yeah.
we talked. And
Hmm.
after I do a very heavy session, say with a client, I won't see them the next week. I'll
Right.
see them the following week,
Yeah.
to give them enough time to process, think about, maybe integrate,
Hmm.
kind of look, okay, right? So, what
Yeah.
were some thoughts and feelings you had during these 2 weeks?
Well, I mean, one, I'll just do it two part quickly. I mean, looking at the program itself,
Hmm.
I thought there was a lot of food in the program. Other than the fact that you've established, I think we really stretched our people. We stretched them. We stretch ourselves.
They stretched us
What
too.
was it? What Yeah? What was interesting though is even after we ended, after almost 5 hours, um, people post the program were still sending me messages. So I stayed up until 1 o'clock in the morning responding to people, chatting with people.
Yeah.
So that was very interesting because I don't think I'd ever been on a program for that long. But I thought what it did, and kudos must go to the people who stuck with us to the end. But I thought what it did was sort of laid the groundwork and whet the appetite. So sometimes people think, well, if you had done it 1 hour, 2 hours, then people would be hungry to come back. Interestingly, even after almost 5 hours, people were saying, well, you guys need to come back because there is so much that you unearth, so much thinking that
Yeah.
you sort of initiated.
Yeah.
That is for the actual program. The discussion, the subject areas, the issues that we spoke about, I thought was like opening and honestness, people say honestness, we said.
Right. Right.
Because it gave rise to interesting responses and reactions. Um, some of which I read, some of which I got calls on. I shared some of it with you, behind the scenes. And what for me was most interesting is the caliber of people who viewed and commented to me who weren't visible to us. And I thought that was very interesting from two fronts. One, it continued to concretize the thinking and the feeling that I have that there are a lot of people who have stuff to say and are either scared or cautious about speaking. And these are people, if they speak, they have audiences, they have people, they have ears that listen to them. So that was interesting. The other part is there are a number of people who I deem voiceless, and they were finally breathing that
Hmm.
somebody is pulling the dumpling from their throat. Somebody is unclogging their mind, their voice, the voice of their mind, the voice of their spirit. And I'll say it here again, I've told it to you repeatedly. You're not only speaking to people, you're not only speaking with people on the platform that you have, but you may not yet still be aware of the amount of people you're speaking for. And I say that not because I've spoken to people who live in Dominica alone, but people who live across the global spectrum. I'm talking about the Caribbean diaspora, the North American diaspora, Europe. I had people from all the way Germany, Dominicans talking to me about they staying up all night listening to the program. Canada, all over the place. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's just my little synopsis
Mm.
of the program, the last program that we did.
I had many thoughts, but I think more feelings. Like my feelings were very strong, like a lot of sadness and disappointment. I think were my biggest emotions, my strongest emotions, and maybe almost a little piece of betrayal. Um, yeah, and I mean, I know we can do better. I know we can do better. That's what I'm wishing for. That's my highest intention, that we do better for Dominica and for ourselves and for each other. Um, because we can, because
Mhm,
we can. And yeah, that was my biggest, those were my strongest emotions. There was some anger. Yeah, there was some anger and frustration.
mhm,
But I like, again, I believe in justice and mercy,
mhm,
justice and mercy. I think we have enough time to reset. I think the people too have to take more responsibility for their own lives.
mhm.
We're not pawns on a chess board, and
Mm-hmm.
we have to do better. The people have to do better. I think we have let our politicians down by not speaking up more and not chastising where necessary more. We have let them down because we are all human beings. And
Mm-hmm.
that could be me in a different set of circumstances, that could be you, that could be anybody listening. When you're put in that kind of position, who knows what we would do? So we have to help each other. We have to help each other stay righteous, because righteousness is not an easy path. The Bible says, the way to righteousness is like squeezing through a camel through a needle.
I hear you.
You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to support each other better. And I don't think our silence is helping Dominica. It's not helping us. It's not helping our politicians. It's not helping Dominica. So
Mm-hmm.
another reason why I'm speaking. So during this break, you wrote another article.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Called Cottage with No House. That's your latest piece. It was released on Monday. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. I tried to make the caption a little catchy, to just draw people's attention to a very simple issue in the constituency. One of the things that I have gotten, even from the previous article, the one prior to this one, was that,
Mhm.
and I heard a lot of that, was that what I was saying was not only speaking about the cottage constituency, that I was actually highlighting issues that exist across Dominica.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised to hear that, but honestly, I was really trying to zero in and focus on what I was more, at this point in time, familiar with.
Hmm.
Um, so this last one was really extracting from the first article one issue and seeking to kind of laser focus on the issue of housing in the constituency. Um, I believe if there's one particular area that the constituency has um, been left behind in, it is the area of housing.
Mm.
Um, now, that is not to say that there have not been efforts to assist people with housing for what you consider a house to be.
Hmm.
Um, but I sought to bring more light or attention to what has been touted post Maria: resilient housing, climatic change, global, we call it global, what do you
Global
call it?
warming.
Global warming, and
Hmm.
so on, and giving rise to sea levels and changes in weather conditions and so on.
Hmm.
And the government, I would say, have, at one time we coined the Freedom Party the party of roads.
Right.
They built a lot of roads and bridges.
Right.
This government can be coined a government of housing.
Yeah.
And they've done a lot in housing and education, and they're giving a lot of scholarships, assessment a lot of people.
Hmm.
But I felt, and I still feel, that the cottage constituency cannot boast of having been a recipient of those resilient housing or the resilient housing stock.
Hmm.
Um, that is
What's your
not to
biggest complaint about the kinds of houses? What's your biggest complaint?
well, it's not only kind, but I
Mm.
think quantity too. Um, for one, I don't think there's been enough emphasis placed on reviewing what the current stock.
Hmm.
And because one may argue government is not obligated to build houses for people. While that may be so, it is this government that has placed itself as the government that is assisting people with housing.
Right.
So you've
Right.
taken
Right.
on, you've taken on that mantle,
Yeah.
carry it, carry
Yeah.
it. Uh, so throughout the constituency, I don't believe there's been enough of, say, an inventory of the kinds of houses. My friend, I went back to the constituency a couple of years ago, and I've spoken to a number of people who still live there and who've gone back. And there are still houses that are in the same shape and the same material that were there many years ago.
Mm.
The zinc may have changed because those on top rotten. People still have open rafters. People still have wooden flooring, wooden houses. Now we're talking about resilient housing. We're talking about putting people in a situation where faced with a category 3 or category 2, and I'm not even going to category 4, people can say, must I wait a kind of pastor, must have more right.
Right.
If Dominica was to be faced with a category 3 or 4 hurricane, no, and it was going to batter the north, the majority of people in their current houses would have to find somewhere else to go. Most of them cannot stay in their houses and say, I am sure we get a little water, but wind wouldn't take my roof or my windows wouldn't go.
And what you're saying is it's not as if people are not responsible for getting and building their own houses.
Yeah.
You're saying because this is being touted as this is what the government is doing, like just such a huge project, you would have hoped to see more.
Absolutely. No, let me just connect something here. There is also a correlation as it relates to people being responsible for their own housing and people being able to be responsible for their own housing, which I attribute to the government.
Yeah.
Because while it is true people are supposed to, the government doesn't owe anybody a house, but clearly in other constituencies, government has given people resilient houses a lot. And I'm not talking about the apartments, I'm talking about houses, individual single family houses. So if people were made to be more economically independent, then government would have less of a worry. The Bible says the poor will always be with us. Yeah. So there are always going to be people who will not have, and you must look out for them. But there are young people who cannot find themselves gainfully employed. Not that they don't want to work, but they can't, because these people are not people that can just pack their little grip and say they go in Roseau because they have an auntie in power in Roseau and get a job. They don't have anybody. So they have to be something within them traveling from Capuchin to Portsmouth and being able to go back to work to get work to do. They don't have work, and I believe it's because there's been a lack of creativity, particularly focusing on that constituency and some of the neighboring constituencies where people would traditionally go and get work. So they are unable to build their own resilient houses. They may have been able to build a wooden house, plywood house, a couple of years back, 10 years back. But in the new vibe going on with the resilient housing, it's more costly. You need impact-resistant windows. You need the type of doors. You need the type of flooring. You need probably concrete roof, or the type of roof that will require you to spend a lot more. These people, they cannot afford that because they either not working or what they're working is certainly not enough to meet that. Then what is the government doing? Has the government met those needs? Yeah. No. It's not that the government have not assisted, but I'm disappointed that you today give people plywood and zinc.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
Plywood and zinc.
I did not realize that with the plywood.
That's only good for the summer. And in the summer, it's still hot.
I know. It's August, August 27th. That's like hurricane season.
Yeah. So those and more. And not only that, just to add one point to that, there's an apartment complex that's built in the area in Cotton Hill, I think, wherever it is in Port, in Lago, in the Cottage constituency. I'm very happy for all those who have gotten an apartment. But if it's apartments that government is going, it is the apartment way that they're going instead of single family homes. So why wasn't the area where the people were given zinc and plywood considered for an apartment block as well? Because Lapland got an apartment block, Cassibus got an apartment block, Roseau is getting 2 or 3, Granby has one, I think, that's coming up, and the other places that don't have gotten individual houses. Look at these beautiful structures in the Kalinago territory,
They're
and I'm
really
so happy.
beautiful.
And I'm so happy for them because
Yeah.
they've been on the back burner for too long.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for them. So we're looking at other constituencies which have gotten. Look at the people they're relocating from the land they've taken for the international airport. The nice, beautiful,
Sturdy home.
resilient, right?
Yeah.
So, but I don't see those in the constituency that I belong to. I don't see those in the constituency that has the longest housing minister ever in the history of this country. And I made a reference in my first article to Earl Williams. When Earl Williams was Minister of Communication, you could drive through Salisbury with your eyes closed.
You mean he took good care of his constituents?
Absolutely. When it comes to roads, yes. And I'm thinking, while I don't want to be selfish and think all the houses or the apartments should come to Cottage, Cottage constituency, but hélas, bon Dieu, we could do better than that. We could do better than that. I can safely say that the majority of people in the constituency, especially the uppermost part of the constituency, if there is a major weather condition facing us, have to ask a neighbor whether they can come to their basement or come to their house or ask somebody else, or they will have to go in the shelter. Now, again, like I said, the poor is always going to be with us. So there are always going to be people who the government have to look out for.
Yeah.
But there are too many people in this constituency that the government now have to look out for or should have been looking out for, because some of them should have been at least made independent, even if they can't afford. But focus on giving the same way you identify them as needing zinc and plywood. It is the resilient housing era as coined by the Dominica Labour Party in government.
Right.
It does not exist in our constituency.
Yeah.
And in the few cases where some of the people have done it themselves, a few of them have gotten it. And there's still conditionalities. There's still conditionalities. So that was the thinking and the feeling behind me bringing light to this issue.
Yeah.
You tell me right now that there is an elderly man living in the Cottage community
in the boxing plant, in the community center.
Since Maria. And the constituency cannot play a little bit. Cottage people like to play the bingo.
Right.
They can do nowhere to do a little activity. Since Maria, one elderly man. There are other people who are living in the upstairs of the disco in Tukari for years. 4 years.
But the government could say that they can't do everything at the same time.
There are certain things which must be priority. The elderly, somebody whose home was broken and they're living in that condition, in that thing in Tukari. Let's look out for these people. Let's ensure that they have somewhere to stay. Because there is a rippling effect to everything that you do. So you don't take the old man out of the community center. You deprive the community of an opportunity or a place to go and socialize. You know how it is in the Cottage area. A lot of people have left. Some, the attrition rate for different reasons have brought the population down. So the few who are left, they want to find somewhere to come back together. So, but they can't throw the old man outside every time they want to play their bingo. He's an elderly man.
Patricia says she thinks that Cottage has always been forgotten. Do you think that's true?
I wouldn't say always. I will not say always. I think we are at a point where we can consider the village to have been really put on the back burner. See, people, I'll tell you something, my friend. People can point to certain things. The fact that you can point to, that may have happened, that happened, speaks to my point. That the few good things which has been done can be easily identified. So in other words, a zit on your face, which is nice, like you tonight. If you had a bobo there now, I would see it. Because your face looking nice, but there is something. So if I can identify it and point it out, I should be able to see a few of them. See, that is why I don't make too much of the apartment in Ports, in Lagon or in Cotton Hill, wherever it is there. I don't make too much of it. I believe personally. You want to hear my personal and honest point of
Tell
view?
me, I have some personal thoughts on the apartments versus single homes.
Yeah.
Tell me.
One, I believe it would be interesting to find out how much each of those apartments cost and whether you couldn't build 2 and 3 bedroom houses. If each apartment costs $250,000,
Right,
you
right,
could
right,
use that to build individual homes for these people
right, right, right.
on land that either their family have or like government usually do, acquire land for public purposes and put these
Yeah,
people down there. That's
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Two, if it is apartment you bent on doing, personally, I think at least Capuchin could have gotten an apartment building.
Mm,
When you look at the amount of people in Capuchin and
yeah.
Clifton who have received zinc, plywood, and so on,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't have to be a 150-room apartment. Could be a 16 or 20, a 30,
Would have
30,
been
you
would
know?
have been sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
My worry about the apartments though versus single homes is that you miss out on the okay, so it's plenty. In America, when they went towards the project style of these apartment type block buildings, you had increase in crime. You had like the family unit. There's a different kind of vibe in an
Mm-hmm.
apartment. It's actually less connected. You would think it would be more connected, but people are
Mm-hmm.
less connected.
Have you
And
heard? Have you
huh?
heard about? Have you heard the rumors coming out of the new apartments on the riverside
No.
in Roseau?
What is it?
That there are concerns about that.
There must be. As a sociologist, if you're studying sociology, this is not ideal for
Mm-hmm.
community building. It's not ideal. It's actually detrimental. It actually causes a lot of negatives.
My research.
Dominica, we have a plethora these days of people who are
Mm-hmm.
just abusing little children.
Mm-hmm.
This is a perfect breeding ground for that because you have people with such close access to little children who think, oh, they're just 2 doors down the road, down from my door. No family member. They come into the complex, the family member might not even see them out necessarily in the yard. It's just I am not. I like the idea of the housing. That's one of the things I give the government a check mark for. Like, good. Because, yes, I understand that a lot of people are in poverty. Granted, the government should have created an environment where people would continue to be able to build their homes as we have for generations. As we have for generations.
It's interesting you would bring up that point about the impact of the likely impact of these apartment blocks, these apartment complexes,
Yeah, it's not
and
positive.
what it breeds. Because my research is now telling me that those they built for in Lagon, Cotton Hill, or wherever they built it,
Hmm.
there are concerns now that it was built without due consideration for even a playing area for the kids. So the kids are playing on the street, and there's fear that they may even get knocked because people driving all over the place. So now
Yeah,
they're trying to look for somewhere to create a play area for because a lot of children in the area. And while some might consider that trivial, but it's so important.
it's not trivial because
Well,
it's how you build the community.
yeah, and so right, so I'm not trying to fault the government for
Yeah,
building apartments,
yeah,
but I don't know how much, according to you, research was done into the social impact of these
yeah,
apartment blocks.
yeah.
Now, I'm saying in certain areas there are lands that government could have acquired and built
There's a
single
lot of
family
land.
homes
Yeah, there's a lot of
for
land in
these
Dominica.
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
build
there's a
single
lot of
family
land.
homes for these people. So it gives them that sense of independence,
Yeah,
ownership, that kind of thing,
yeah.
So I don't know. But if I'm to just keep, I know I'm going to hear a lot of talk about, well, that what you're saying is not only unique to the cottage constituency, but I want to stay there for now.
Yeah.
I just believe that the government has failed the people of the cottage constituency when it comes to housing. It failed them. It failed them. And ironically, we have the housing minister as our partner, and we have among the worst housing stars. And those you see with the houses for the most part, are houses that they built. They were able to do their stuff.
Yeah.
And the constituency is not immune to poverty. It's not, So that is where my thinking stemmed from as it relates to writing this article. And I stand by that still.
Yeah. I would really love to encourage the government to like examine the apartment style homes. I would say reconsider it. Like look at the research about project style homes and some of the original intention that has been floated around as to why the government here started building these projects for lower income people. It was not for positive reasons. It was not for and you saw how these communities devolved because it's just not it's not ideal.
See, my friend, you raising some very, very salient points. Was there any research done prior to embarking on these projects? Research from top to bottom.
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
see, we must stop doing things that would make doing things for political expediency.
I know.
Do you understand? That would make us popular as a political organization, and it would make us solidify the votes we have or get new votes. Because while you may be getting the new votes or solidifying the votes that you have, you're creating a bigger problem because there's going to be an upsurge in crime, an upsurge in sexual abuse of children, an upsurge in drugs, gang.
It's a nesting ground.
We know those apartment buildings, gangs. I mean,
it's a nesting ground.
We've had situations. I have known of situations here in the US where people have been living in their apartments and violence in one room, gunshot go through and kill people in the other apartment.
Yeah. It's not the best setup.
So you're so right. The question is, what sort of research was conducted into the likely impact of all of those apartment buildings? Again, I don't want people to think that I'm against government.
I know.
People with housing, but was that the better thing to do or the best way to go as it relates to what we see happening in our society today? Are we doing things for political expediency and disregarding the ultimate social impact of what those things? I mean, why would you now build an apartment and now looking for a playground for the children because they're constantly on the street, on the road playing? Wouldn't that be one of the things that you'd have had to look at? I mean, do we have people like you on board in the planning process to look at all those things? Is there socioeconomic survey that forms part of the whole
studies?
Process?
The thing is, like in an apartment complex over here, you can regulate it. You can regulate how they do it over here is the money. So they use the cost to deter a certain caliber of rentee, so to speak, or apartment holder. Or you might use gates, or you might use, something like the security to help with that. But it's when you have many human beings in such close proximity, doesn't work well without a lot of extra planning and systems too in place.
Yeah, again, as usual, you really shedding light on some very crucial things that at least people can take as recommendations going forward. And what you find in a lot of those situations, and I'm finding and I'm hearing that even people and areas that were deemed as quiet and peaceful as a result of these apartment buildings have created issues because now you have loud blaring music from cars at 2:00 in the morning.
It must.
Because fellas come and check their girlfriend or fellas come and check their partner. They're smoking there with they're drinking on the porch. No regard for somebody living right next door. Now, somebody in the single family who would have at least 20, 40 feet away, they could sleep. Right now, in an apartment building, it's not soundproof. You're hearing all the loud music,
That's
people
a
come out.
natural and logical consequence. Now,
Yeah,
again, if it was a typical apartment building, that typical apartment building would have noise ordinances,
that's right.
codes.
There's none of that.
There's none.
So it gives rise to the question as to whether these things were built for political gains. I mean, were they built to garner support and to solidify support and to
Without enough planning,
yeah, yeah,
perhaps.
yeah. So meant for good, but could be breeding problems, down the line.
I guess that's kind of like what Tanya was asking. Do
Yeah.
you think it's a genuine gesture? I When I saw I love the idea of the single homes. I don't care because Dominica is already traditionally we have a history of tikai, right? Little houses with the little shingles, that's our history. So giving us small two bedroom resilient homes, I love that idea. Of course, I would prefer if the people were participating in it because I know that when people participate, they value it more, they take care of it more, they feel better about themselves, you know? So I felt I still do feel uncomfortable with the apartment style homes because that did not work well for America, That did not work well for
The great America.
okay? All of these projects, man, they've had to tear these things down because they were breeding grounds for not high energy vibrations.
I want to just quickly address the question being asked in the chat about whether I think government was genuine. You see, when we talk about the word genuine, you may have genuine concerns, or you may be genuine in your intent. You understand?
Yeah.
It does not mean that you doing it haphazardly, that you were not genuine. You may have failed to do the things necessary that it would have the right impact. Your desired impact may not be the best impact. And I cannot say you were not genuine because it may be you being genuine to your cause,
Right.
You understand? As to whether you being genuine to your cause works to the benefit of those you serve is a different question. So that's how I will address the issue of whether the government was genuine. I mean, again, I'm not going to sit here and say the government has done nothing for housing nowhere in the country.
Because I'm about to say, like, that sounds a little, it almost kind of pushes you towards a bit of cynicism, where you're like, not trusting intention. But you're correct. We don't know what is genuine intention.
Right.
The part that we do see is that it looks as if it was not planned all the way through.
Does your genuine intention serve my purpose?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
So you may be genuine to your cause. You understand? And so you feel that is the way you're going to do it because you're genuine to what you want to do. Or what you want to achieve. And again, I will repeat, I mean, the effort at building houses is not a bad thing. Building apartments. Building apartments is, you want to assist me with housing. Is the apartment type complex the best? My answer is no. Because you hear people boast of, well, nowhere in the world would you be able to afford that. You get a nice, beautiful 3-bedroom apartment which costs $250,000. $250,000 can give you a nice 3-bedroom single family home, with little yard with your porch.
Yes.
So I'm saying if you have 100 of those in one complex, that is 100 houses you could build.
Right.
You understand? So Capuchin could get 25. Cottage could get 5.
And families maintain their
10.
independence.
Absolutely.
And their autonomy and their freedom, their mental space.
Yeah. So the only thing I will say is, on that, and I said it earlier on, is there must be a halt on doing things for political expediency.
Yeah.
When that is halted, people will then look at, if we're going to do something, let's look at do it holistically. Is the apartment type offer of big houses the best for our society?
Exactly.
Let's bring a
Yeah.
psychologist and sociologist on
Yeah.
board
Yeah.
to conduct a survey for us and use best practices, find
Mm-hmm.
out what has occurred in other
Mm-hmm.
jurisdictions, and
Right.
whether over 5 years and 10 years we really want to deal with what they've been dealing with for 15,
Right.
20 years. Is our society
Right.
so equipped to deal
Right.
with that? You
Right.
understand?
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
Yeah. I much prefer for on every level, I prefer, if we're building homes for the people, to build it as a single family
Family
home,
home, of
because
course.
you're establishing, no, again, I would say they need to contribute. You're now establishing potentially a legacy for the family, a freedom, and it fits in with our history. We're not
Mhm,
used to, I mean, it sounds cool when you hear the idea of, our people, sometimes we can be a little clumsy, come crazy. We can do a little bit of that. Oh,
mhm,
it's an apartment, it's an apartment. But just look at where it's been done before. I mean, it's not the best.
mhm,
If you're talking about growing young families, you have an apartment right here with a 3-year-old, 4-year-old little girl, and we don't know who's next door.
mhm,
Are we planning that too? Are we structuring who's in what and how close they are to whom?
mhm,
Are we doing, I mean, over here you have to do a credit report. You have to do, some people even let you do a criminal whatever report, depending on
mhm,
the on how Hokonsa, the
mhm,
complex is.
mhm,
Plus it's a gated community. So you have things in place. So are
mhm,
we thinking about those things too? Or are we just building the apartment and saying, here's your key, go ahead and create whatever community you
mhm.
can with that?
Mhm. There's something else about the apartment that I'm concerned about. I don't want to take up too much of the program talking about apartments
Yeah,
per se. I mean,
yeah,
it fits into the issue of housing, and especially talking about the fact that one was built in the Lago area. So why didn't we get and so on
mhm.
elsewhere and so on? So I don't want to spend too much time on that, because I'm sure you probably have some other questions you want to
Yeah, I
ask,
do.
engage me
I
on.
do.
But just to say that when you look at some of the people who have been given, and maybe that is for another subject, another time, but some of
Hmm.
the people who've been placed in those apartments, these are not people who are within the next 5 years or say cannot work to purchase a piece of land and build their houses. Some of these young people are people who government could have say, okay, we're giving you a piece of land,
Yeah,
go take you will register it, you have your title, go take a loan,
right,
because they're
right,
working. Some of them are engineers, some of them have well-to-do jobs,
right.
and they're given those apartments. And I mean, what are you sending? What is the
Yeah,
message you're sending?
yeah,
You know, if you identify a family who doesn't have land, who is living in a dilapidated condition, house, really deteriorated, and you want to provide them something, I can understand. But when you take young people, 30 years working, some of them
about
have
ready
government
to build
jobs,
their families.
government jobs, good
Yeah,
jobs in the private sector, and you give them an apartment where they're not paying a cent.
yeah,
Um, are you really making them independent?
yeah.
Are you really making them independent?
Mm.
And my understanding is some of these people are now renting these apartments.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I'm here. Some of these people renting out these apartments,
What?
and they at their parents' home, and they're renting these apartments, or they're renting a room in the apartment. So there's so much we
So
can
there are
talk
no
about.
rules and regulations. So no regulations.
Rules.
What ends up happening, like if you just throw people together like that, what's going to happen is human beings, we like hierarchy. So pretty soon there's going to a hierarchy is going to form in that community.
I hear you.
Seriously, about who's the boss and who's the
Yeah.
head honcho, and it might
Hmm.
not be pretty. It might
Hmm.
not be pretty. Let's pray for the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pray for the best.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I mentioned this earlier. What do you think are the people's responsibilities? The citizens, we have rights. Yes, we know that. But what are our responsibilities as we experience these circumstances? I mean, where do you think we're failing? Because I honestly don't think we're supporting our leaders properly.
Yeah. There's a word. There's a word that is called accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't believe as a populace, as a people, we've held our politicians accountable. Um, we've not held them accountable. We've not called them to account.
Mm-hmm.
We need a report card coming back to us every year or something like that. Okay, let's say every year because there's a budget to be presented every year.
Yeah.
During budget presentations, we have all kind of plans and projections, more or less. A budget is that projections,
Aspirations.
right?
Yeah.
So at the end of the budget cycle, I would expect that there needed to be a report. The people need to hold their power reps and politicians
When you say that,
accountable.
you mean ask them, hey, you said you were going to do this.
Voila.
Check.
Yeah.
Check.
Did you? If not, why not?
Yeah.
Or you didn't say anything about that, but I saw you did it.
Yeah.
How did you end up doing it?
Yeah.
Was it a priority for us, or is it something you felt you needed to do? You understand? Holding people accountable. And we've not held people accountable. And again, if I'm just to zero in on the cottage constituency, I don't think we've held our power rep accountable.
Yeah.
I don't think we've done that. We've just blindly voted Labour. It happened with Freedom Party too. We just voted Alan Carbon.
So this is a good point for me to interject and ask about Alan Carbon, because Alan served us for 15 years?
15 years.
It was very long too. Are there any similarities you think
Absolutely.
between our current power rep and Alan Carbon?
Yes.
I'd say those.
I mentioned that earlier on.
Yes.
I think in our previous program as well. We've shown blind loyalty. We've just voted Alan Carbon because he was well liked.
Yeah.
He was a man from Capucin.
Yeah.
Going on Siri for our fathers, sit down on the block with us. So we just voted. Alan had a free reign.
Yeah.
Alan brought lights, he brought water, he brought roads, which is what we know Alan for, nothing else.
Right.
Light, water, and roads. So we just voted Alan.
Yeah.
So to our current power, we liked. I was just sharing with somebody leading up to the program that Reginald Austria had a honeymoon and a sympathy 5 years, 95 to 2000. He was in opposition.
Mm-hmm.
Rosie became popular. The spillover of the excitement from Portsmouth into Cottage constituency.
Yeah.
Rosie boy gonna win, so we have to go with Reggie.
Right.
Rosie didn't last long. During the Pierrot freeze, it just kind of stayed there and just.
Mm-hmm.
Then Skerrit came. Vickers have plenty family cottage down that side, Lag up on that side, Capuchin, so on. People like Skerrit, so we just voted Reggie.
Right.
Nobody was speaking like you and I from the constituency. Nobody
was asking any questions.
Nobody was asking any questions.
Yeah.
Nobody was doing it. So it was a free reign. That is why I have no problems with people seeking to say things about me and you now, because we're talking, because we're doing something that is new.
Yeah.
We're asking questions.
That is so shocking to me, That is so... that really took me aback this spring, I tell you. I couldn't sleep with that in my belly. Like, what?
Yeah, so it is. So that's why I say, people who say, whether you say nice things or good things, that's fine. I'm not going to respond to anybody on Facebook or whatever, because we're doing something that is new. We're asking questions of our power. We're asking questions of our politicians.
And the thing is, it ought not to be new. This should be run of the mill.
That is another subject matter. And you and I have spoken about it. It shouldn't be new, but it is what we have been politically cultured to accept as being the norm.
And so we have said yes. So back to our responsibility. We have said yes to it. We went along with it.
Yes. So, let's put it that way. We've never really had activists in the cottage constituency. People that would say, I don't care who you are. You and I have been friends, but I will ask
Right.
questions of you. You and I have been family, but I will ask questions because you're a public
Right.
figure. I'll ask
Right.
questions. So you doing that is going to touch on the nerve of some people who've been, that's my pal rep, and even if he don't do nothing, but we like him from the place,
No.
that kind of thing. It
But
is not because it is not because
adult thinkers though.
yep,
We
it's
have
not
to
because we
separate
don't.
these
It's not
things.
because we don't like the pal
I
rep.
know.
It's because we want more and better for you.
Everybody.
My friend, I told you, I shared that with you. You and I keep saying I told you, so people don't know we're going to conclude. You and I talk a lot. Yeah, we do.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So
Yes.
it is easy for me to sit back and say, yeah, son, I'm in America.
No.
God opened a new way for me.
No.
Saki there.
I
It's
know.
easy. You understand me?
I know.
But that is not who I am. That's not what I stand for. That's not what I want. Because I said it. This community between Capuchin and Lagon, they allowed me to grow there. They allowed me to walk the streets, go to PSS, go to Capuchin Ground Bowl and play, go to Clifton Preschool and Primary School. As for cottage, don't worry about, don't talk about that. To carry on the beach, Sam Tavern. So now I am in a better place in my spirit, and I feel that I have an obligation.
It's an obligation.
I have an
Or else you're a
obligation.
terrible citizen. Or else you're a really poor citizen.
I have an obligation. And that is why I beg people to see it that way, that I'm not, there's nothing personal in this. But many people telling me, boy, well, best you come and run. No, I could do that.
That's not the point.
That is not what I want. That's not what I'm looking for. You understand? So just to say that, going back to the question, holding our politicians accountable is not anything wrong. It is saying, I gave you my mandate, that is your money, to go and do something for me.
On my behalf.
Listen, the great Jesus Christ gave talents to 3, and he held them accountable when he came back. And those who did not put the talents to work, he chastised them. And you know what he said?
That's right.
He took from them and he gave to those who had more.
Used it and who had used it.
And who used it.
Yeah.
So if he could hold people accountable, why can't we hold our brother man accountable? Why can't we hold Skerrit accountable? Why?
We have to. We are out of order when we don't. Why? That's what I mean when I say we are not supporting our politicians.
Why should Dr. Trippin be attacked?
You see what I'm saying?
Why should my boy be attacked?
Boy, and my boy give me a name, my boy. I was like, okay. And I do appreciate it because that is a part of me. That's a part of all of us better have our Dr. Trippin in us to be able to speak up on our behalf when we're feeling a little afraid. Connect to that part of yourself that knows how to stand up and speak up on your behalf. Or else what is going to happen to you?
And that is where we failed ourselves. So while we're giving the politicians blows, we have to look within ourselves and ask ourselves, what have I done to contribute to the condition that I now live in?
Here's
what have I not done?
What have I not done?
What have I not done?
That's it.
To contribute to the condition that I'm currently living in.
That's right.
What was your responsibility? Yes? Absolutely.
What have I said yes to?
Have I failed in my responsibility?
No? Exactly.
Let me tell you, you think having $20 million is making you powerful? Having one vote is so powerful.
That's right.
Your vote could make or break any government or any
This
power.
is the answer. This is the answer that they're asking. 2 people asked the question. Essentially, it's the same thing. Tanya is asking, so how do we hold the government accountable and actually get heard? TCA is asking, well, when you hold them accountable, they act as if you're against them. That's the philosophy. Your vote is the answer.
Yeah. And you see, again, I use the word culture, the term culture to believe. And that is where people's awareness should be awakened. If you start asking questions of your elected representatives and
As
they
you should.
begin to attack you, that is a dangerous person. You've just set a lion or a tiger loose on yourself. They shouldn't get angry with you because
No,
you helping. O que voe eu trabalho?
that's
O baio
right.
l'argent.
On your
You tell
behalf.
them, go and spend my political currency.
Yeah.
You have a right to ask them, what have you done with it for the last year?
Yes. Your vote
What
is
have you
the
done?
answer.
Yes.
But everywhere
And
else, that's what happens. Do you not see it here? Like Senate, the Congress, like,
absolutely,
and it goes like,
absolutely.
okay, you're not for us on this. The wind is
That's
blowing a little
right.
stronger. We have
Hey,
the Democrats in. Oh, we bring
hey,
the
listen,
Republicans in.
don't
Oh,
don't slide that part too quickly by. Just say that for the people to hear.
yeah.
Imagine there are Democrats who, because they represented the field, them vote Republicans,
That's they
and
do
vice
it.
versa,
They do it.
and vice versa. So
And
why
they do it
can't
to make a
we?
statement.
That's right. Why can't we in Dominica say, I love Labour, but I also think that my power rep or my prime minister has failed me. Somebody else needs to be given an opportunity to at least
Let me
implement
see.
what they say they're going to do over the next 5 years.
Let me give them a chance and see. Can I talk to this one and they'll listen to
Yeah.
me?
That is where I will go back to the point, my pillar point. I believe at this stage in our political development, particularly in our constituency where parties have failed us, we need more independent thinking candidates
Independent.
who will say, I can negotiate with UWP from the government.
Yeah.
I can negotiate with Labour. I can negotiate with APP. I can negotiate with NJM, whatever. I can negotiate with Alex, whatever it is, whichever of them from the government.
Right.
I am staying down the middle, at least for the time.
Do you know why I agree with you?
No,
If
tell
the
me.
aim is for our highest good, if the aim is for Dominica's highest good, we must be willing to think in this way.
That's
If
right.
the aim is, if our highest aim is for Dominica's highest good versus I like my party, and we can become, let me tell you, when you see we get parties and religions, we can get to where we take on that identity. A lot of us get really messed up, almost hypnotized. You know, like you can see people on the stage and the hypnotist will say, dance like Elvis. And they start dancing like Elvis if they're properly hypnotized, or cluck like a chicken and they'll start clucking like a chicken. We do that with our politics and our religion, many of us. It's almost as if we're under hypnosis. So our identity becomes meshed with that group. And the way to address that is to just take a little break and pull yourself outside of it for a while and just look at it as you would anything else in your life. As in, how would you look at my household expenses? If I don't have enough money, I know I have to work a little extra, or I have to ask somebody for a loan, right? You just look at the evidence, is what I'm saying, versus continuing to act as if it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening, but feeling horrible. I also believe your body is going to clue you in to let you know when anything is not working. How it does that is your body feels pain, pain in your emotions, rage, anger, anxiety, fear, fright, worry. That's how your body tells you something is wrong.
That's right.
So when that happens, you have to start asking yourself a question, pull yourself out for a little bit, and try to look at it as a neutral observer versus I am a blue or I am a red. The clue for you is pain or discomfort.
And the question is there pain or discomfort?
That's what people have to answer for themselves. That's what you have to answer for yourself, because that's going to be your clue.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to hurt. Either way, it's going to hurt. To stay in the same position is going to hurt. To make a change is going to hurt, like to make a different choice. Like those Democrats that vote Republican for this cycle, or Republicans that vote Democrat for a particular cycle because they are so irate about what their person did, that's part of their group. I'm sure it hurts them to make that different choice. Which again, you have to go for the higher moral.
For the greater good, man. You do it for the greater good. Yeah.
Yes.
And you know that just feeds into the point I made earlier on, that we need to break the cycle of, you know, well, but what can I do now?
I
Oh,
know.
but what else is available now? You see,
This is
the other thing too is, my friend, I'll tell you this. Again, bringing it back to Dominica, there is the common feeling that there is no better option than what currently exists. Don't forget, these politicians and these people, the leaders in our society, the church leaders, the community leaders, come from among us. So
that's right.
we produce them.
Oh,
They come
perfect.
from
Keep going
among
on
us.
that. Keep going on that. Keep
You
going
see,
on that.
so those who you sent
Oh, keep
are
going on
there.
that.
They are the ones you sent.
That's right.
So there must be others that you can
They are
send.
from among us.
Yes, there are others you can send because you
Yes.
sent them, you created them. You understand? So the idea that, well, what is better? If you are
Right.
now questioning whether there is better from among you, it says something about you as a collective.
Right.
As a collective. And that
Right.
is why we need to re-examine who we are as a people. What
Right.
do we have in our bellies that we are at a point where we're saying, well, there's nothing better? Is there nothing better in the current structure of the opposition, or is there nothing better in our community that we can
Right.
send? Is there no one better that we can send?
Right.
And that is where it comes back to the point that I've been hammering home all the time. We
Wait.
do not have to be assigned and aligned to a political party for us to make change.
This is the
We
ding
can,
ding ding.
that's right. We can, because look within ourselves. What isn't the Bible said? What good can come from whichever the Bible is talking about? Can anything good come from the cottage constituency?
Right.
Can
Right.
anything good other than what exists come
What
from
we've already
Dominica?
produced. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Are
That
you
doesn't make
telling
sense.
me? Are you telling me that we don't have anybody else that can represent any constituency in Dominica? Are you telling me that we are at a point where we will accept the best of the worst? That's how we've come.
So this is what happens when you become a neutral observer. You become a neutral, meaning I'm not. Let me unhook myself for a minute from the color or the party that I really identify with. That's me. I am a this. I am a labor. I am a worker. Right? How do I now look as if I am not red? I'm not blue. I'm just me. Hmm? And remind myself, but hey, that worker representative or that labor representative I sent up, Moshe, from us, that person was not always in that position.
That's right.
They were
We
just,
made them. We
yeah,
made them. Say,
yeah,
look at voyeur, look at fail, voyeur.
yeah,
So it's almost like we can, without it being legislated, we can recall. We can
absolutely,
recall. And if we cannot
absolutely.
recall you midterm, we will recall you when the 5 years come.
And you can do that with an independent candidate, or
That's right.
you have other people who are going up. Like you're just saying, these other people, yes, they don't have the experience, but some of our people didn't. Most of them did not start off with any experience.
We can start with our current prime minister.
I know.
He
Oh
was
my
very young
goodness.
with no experience.
Like even
And we gave him a chance.
I am guilty of thinking that way too,
Me
I am
too.
guilty of thinking
I
that
put my hands up too.
for real.
But if you get to a point where you're satisfied that those you have in opposition or in government in Dominica today are the best and nothing else,
Yeah.
we are in problems.
I know.
No deba.
I know. And that's a lie. That's a myth.
It is a lie.
So we're busting that
It
myth
is a lie.
right now.
That is why I do not like when my parrot goes to parliament
Yeah.
or anyone in the radio and he says, well, I think I can take a break, but it's not a wash your foot and come thing. You have to come well good to replace me. Who else now? Where them now? Who
But
else?
that's hypnosis, though. But that's just hypnosis.
Yeah, but again, thank you very much. You are the
that's
professional.
hypnosis.
Then again, you see what we do into our people's mind?
Yeah.
You see, it is not right.
But our
It is
people
not
have
right.
but our people have the responsibility.
That is why you and I are here. That is why you and I are here to wash
Yeah, that's hypnosis.
to take off the scale of the eyes of their spirit and the eyes of their thinking, and let them
Yeah.
understand that the same way you could send him or her to
Yeah, from
Parliament, you can
among
send
you.
anybody else
Yeah,
from among you.
you.
You understand?
Yeah.
And so we should not make ourselves believe and make people see us as people who figure, well, we have no other choice. We cannot do anything better than we have. Imagine one of the responses.
Wait, before you go, look at Enrique. You were listening to my show with Marcia on Thursday. He said that is breadcrumbing moving.
Yeah, I see
That
that.
was Thursday night's
Yeah, I see that.
trauma therapy. Exactly. That is breadcrumbing, where you give just enough, and your people, like, they stay hooked. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it is just, to me, I'm trying to find the word, but it is astounding that people will still, in today's dispensation, make those kind of statements, and then our politicians will continue to fuel it because they think that is what the people are running with. So therefore, it is our responsibility and my obligation and that of yours to take the scales of people's spiritual eyes, their thinking, unclog those organs which have been blocked or stereotyped for too long, and let people wake up to the reality that, like you rightly said,
Think for
the
themselves.
complaint that you're complaining when you feel in pain is a sign of you being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And therefore it requires change.
Absolutely.
It requires change. You have the power to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'm wearing shoes and the shoes are too tight, my body's going to clue me in that I need to get different shoes, because my toe's going to start hurting. When my toe starts hurting, I kind of would be a dermers to continue with the shoes, because I'm going to get blistered feet.
Like the way you said that. Facebook can't fault you at all. Yeah.
Dr. Trippy just slipped out, y'all. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I have a responsibility. I have a responsibility as a citizen, to take care of myself. Oh, people say, Enrique says other people might say, where the new government going to get money to run the country? The same way the current government is getting money to run the country. And they have other ideas, I'm sure. Come on.
That is one of the most dumb statements I've heard coming from politicians. And he's right. Where the government going to get money? And when you came into office,
I know.
You cultivated friends.
That's right.
You let your policies speak for you, and it attracted friends.
That's right.
And people will not just drop a country because a particular individual or party leaves office. It doesn't work like that.
No.
Let's stop fooling the people. It
doesn't, because we are part of a bigger system too.
That's right.
As above, so below.
That's right.
Those above also need peace and stability.
No, the United Nations, the UN or the World Bank will stop giving Dominica loans or grants.
That doesn't make sense.
If the party in office change.
That
really?
Does not.
Really?
But that is powerful, that we, when you talk, talk brings talk upon talk upon talk. But I am so guilty of thinking at times, well, what is the alternative? We do have alternatives.
That's why I told you earlier on, backroom discussion, and I've said to a few people, who've asked, why no? Why are you speaking now? Why didn't you speak earlier on?
Yeah.
I'm in that space. I'm in that mental, emotional, and spiritual space. You understand? Where my God, my spirit, my inner self is saying, you condone certain things which were not right. You were part of certain things which could have been done differently. And so now you have an obligation to avoid somebody else falling into it. And people will say it and say whatever they want, and I have no issues with that. My only concern is that we as a people, specifically against Zero and the Cottage constituency, wake up and smell the coffee. Wake up and smell the coffee. It is time. Mark you, if the people in the constituency or any other constituency in Dominica decide is Labour they want,
I was about to say that.
That is on you.
That's their
The only
business.
thing
To get
I
a
ask
choice.
of you is to
Yeah.
hold them
That's
accountable.
it. That is
Because
it.
do not allow anybody to sit on you for 27 years.
That's it.
And when you check yourself after 27 years, ou pli med ki ou koumanse,
No, you like Pat Finn.
le moun gwo, le moun gwosi ko yo, ou meg ou pa niyen, pa yon zanfan ki niyen, ti gason ka bwe woma si chime.
I know.
Tout ka fe se pou an ti flesh ale yon bat look, they're too, what do you call those little red fish, those little mouben and come back.
Yeah.
Mouben
Yeah.
and kawan, those little
Yeah.
fish. That's nothing. That cannot
And
be
cats,
enough to
yeah.
develop you. You know? No, we cannot be satisfied with that.
But
That is the kind of
those
thing I saw.
ugly fish, but and when
You
cats
know,
wear.
mind the ven cat, if it prickly, that's it.
I know.
My friend, that is the kind of thing it turned my stomach when I went to cottage the last time. I saw young boys I know drinking rum all day.
I know.
Have no aim. They like zombies. They do. You don't know if they come. They come. Hey, Mervin, give me something, now, boy. Give me buy me a cup of rum. Then eat today.
Yeah.
Today.
So essentially trying to remain asleep and numbed out emotionally. Let me keep numbing myself out.
Now somebody might tell me, "Oh, it's not the job of the parent. It's not the job of the parent to put money in their pocket."
That's right.
And for as often as you give them $20 to drink from, they're going to come back to it. It is your responsibility to create that environment where they can go to work, and come back, earn their money, have an account in the bank, put a $20.
Look, Jacqueline's got a great question now.
Say again?
Jacqueline has a great question for you.
What can be done to educate the majority and the more senior persons who will hypnotize and do not follow social media? That is why the message that Dr. Trippy / Dr. Trippin and Mweti Gason Kabwe Tikabwe Pela Hot Cottage, what we say must generate a movement on the ground. So those people who don't have access to social media, my dear friend Jacqueline, I wouldn't call you by our normal nickname. I don't want people to know it. But it starts with D. It starts with D. We need a movement on the ground because in every home, at least there is one educated person or a cousin that's educated. It is their responsibility to share with us what we're sharing and go and sit down with granny and grandpa and say, Madukeshoy, nous vote Labour 27 nani. Ou satisfait? Gen kayo, I ka still koule. Ou still pani tibay la gegesa. Nou kay try keshoy diferent. Non sa vou se yon liberay. Men nou kay try keshoy diferent. In yon jen boug, in yon jen fan, yo pasi pièce party. Yo le we chime la meye. Yo le we kay la meye. Yo le we mwen tape yon ti job pou mwen sa ba ou l'argent pou mwen ti pochou. You can try something different.
You can try keshoy diferent.
You can you like too long.
Yeah.
Yon moun, yon nom, yon party. 27 nane, yon femme. You can try keshoy different. Tanga different. That is how we go about it.
You know what happens here is called door-to-door education of the voter. You educate whomever the voter is. Like Jerome is saying, younger people must have conversations with the seniors.
Hey, my partner, Jerome. What's going on, brother?
Because, you know, the younger people have to educate the elders. Look, you're leaving me with that, you know, under that system. You leaving your foot, one foot in, one foot out. You're about to leave me. What are you leaving me with?
Can I just draw something to strengthen your point here?
Yeah.
When the importation of the diaspora votes occur, it is the same process. These people stay in America and Europe and elsewhere, and they call them back home and say, listen, don't forget it's me that's sending in the barrel. Say, I vote in there, so you have to vote there. And you hear this old people
telling me that's a real thing?
Yes. It's not. And these old people say parliament they vote. No, see my vote la. Say ki ka vote barrel la ba mwen. So let's use the same power that we have and tell them that we want to make a difference. Let's use it. Yes, it happens. It happens. And my friend, that particular scenario I just drew up, is not something that is hypothetical to me.
Oh my God.
Must have. Don't ask you no question, you'll tell me no lie. Bon.
Whoop, that would say that.
Bon.
Yes.
So if that medium is so powerful and convincing, if
Mhm.
change is something that our people feel is necessary and needed, let's exploit the same medium.
You know, and you just said it. You said it well. If, because they have a right to examine the current system as it is and make a choice. They could
Yes,
choose to stay still with the
absolutely.
current system. My issue
Absolutely.
is just this flat refusal to even investigate, to turn a thing over, to see what's working, what is not working, why, what is happening here. So it's like you have no participation really in your own destiny.
That's
You
right.
understand? That's what I cannot say yes to. I cannot say yes to that.
That's right. That's right. You know,
Exactly.
you
Like, am I saying, oh, get another person from the party? But we
hey,
have to examine, is this working?
does that remind you of part of our conversation earlier today?
Yes, yes,
You see,
yes,
so it means
yes.
there are people out there thinking just like us. They're
Yeah,
thinking. So maybe we all we're doing is speaking the thoughts of other people. You
absolutely.
see?
Absolutely.
So it does not mean that you probably, if you feel you don't want to go outside of your party, but you may be able to look within your party and say, changement,
Exactly.
changement. You know, again, we can talk. It's people to decide what they want. But if you feel you want to stick with your party, but clearly there is the need for change, for shaking up, for reshuffling, from
Yeah.
doing things differently.
Oxygen. Oxygen.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you need it,
Mm-hmm.
particularly in constituencies where you see there is evidence,
Mm-hmm.
tangible and otherwise, that the parties have failed us. Failed us. You asked a very pertinent question earlier about the similarities between Arlene Carbon and our current parliament. Like I said to you, there are similarities. We've been blindly loyal to a party.
Yeah, yeah. I know.
Blindly loyal to a party.
Mm-hmm.
No, I know, like you said, change is a little troublesome, a little tricky, a little hurtful.
Yeah,
But there's nothing wrong in saying we need a candidate who's going to walk down the center.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
whichever, can you imagine? Can you imagine?
Absolutely.
Cottage, and again, I'm sticking with Cottage. Cottage constituency runs an independent candidate who gets the mandate from the people.
Yeah,
And each party gets 10 seats.
right. I
And
know,
then
right?
Eyoka
I know,
Village,
right?
and they come into us.
I know. That's what I want to see. I want to see more energy. I want to see more oxygen is the word I'm using because it is stale and flat and it's not, that's not healthy. It can't be in. It's not healthy.
So that is what we need. We need independent people. We need independent people. You
Yeah.
know, an independent person may share in some of the philosophies of the Labour Party, may share in
Yeah.
some of the philosophy of the UWP, may share in some of the ideas of the other emerging
Exactly.
opposition forces. But
Exactly.
but at the end of the day, what you're actually doing is synergizing and harmonizing all that you think
The
about
people.
with the interest of your people at heart. So if you have 4 ideas that fits into what my people need, and you have 5 and you have 3, I take in all 5, 4, and 3, 12 of them, and I say that is what the cottage
In
constituency want.
support of the higher
That's
goal,
right.
the
My
higher
people will
aim.
benefit from that. You understand me? And
Yes.
then you can hold people accountable. You can
Yeah.
hold those in power accountable
Yeah.
as the independent parliament, and your people, when you are held accountable, can account
Yeah.
to them. You can account to them. You
Yeah.
understand?
Yeah.
But we don't have that. What is the report card that is brought back to our people, to the constituents on an annual basis? What is the report card? What does it look like? Where are the grades of the PAL reps? Right now, you have a thing in Dominica where people saying everything that's happening in the constituency is scary that do it.
What does that mean?
That the PAL reps not working. So all the ideas is scary that do it.
So what is that? So they only voting for the prime minister then?
That is why I hinted in the previous program, we should not allow the leader of any political party to come and tell us this is who they want us
For
to
for, for the
run.
for the constituency.
No, because when that happens, it goes back to the same thing we're dealing with now.
You know why that's not good? Because one brain cannot see everything. One brain is going to be faulty because it doesn't see the entire perspective. When you have a collective, you need more input.
That's right.
It's not going to work. Is the
That's
mix
right.
is not enough. That's why it's flat. It's going to hit a wall or a ceiling because every human being is limited. Every human being. I don't care how smart you are. You know,
You're right.
don't bring your car to me. I'm a smart girl, y'all, but don't be bringing your car to me to fix it. I can't.
That's right.
You
That's
know what I mean?
right.
I'm a dormouse when it comes to fixing
I
cars.
hear you.
You know what I'm saying? So we nah, that is not, that's not for our highest good, is it?
Hmm.
How can it be? How can it
That's
be
right.
for our highest good?
That's right.
That's why
That's
we
right.
need to stimulate the energy. That's why we
And
need to
people
stimulate the
people
energy.
need to dig deep within themselves and find their voices, man.
Yep,
Find your voice, man.
yep,
Do not subject yourself to
yep,
mediocrity by accepting
yep,
crumbs from the table. Do not do that. Do
yeah.
not accept bits and pieces,
Wakai.
because your immediate wants doesn't define you.
Mm-mm,
It
mm-mm.
is not, you see, when people cater for your immediate wants or that instant euphoria, they play on the things that tickle you. You need to ask yourself, do you need a pilot to be giving you plywood and zinc every year after hurricane? Or
Or
do you
just have
need
one house, or do I need one house?
exactly one house?
Yeah,
That 10
yeah,
years, 7 years from today, I need a little repair. By
yeah,
that time, I would have a job and I'll be working for myself.
yeah,
But every year it can come, you need zinc, you need plywood, you need that door. The
yeah,
planche, you falling through the planche because it's
yeah,
rotten.
yeah.
Do you need
So,
that?
man, we talked about power and how power corrupts. We talked about that experiment last time. Again, I know all of us are each other in different circumstances, right? If it was
Mhm.
you, me, Patricia, Niver, TCA in parliament right now, in the government, maybe we would have been jacking it up if we were there for this long. Who knows, right? So what from me, where I'm coming from, I'm not trying to be like, oh, down this is not good, this is not good, this is not good. No, if I'm being fair, I've supported the party from its from its inception. I've supported the prime minister from the time he got elected prime minister. I just think that when you've gone so long in that position without real opposition, it's almost a de facto totalitarian sort of system. It's not healthy for the country. You see what I'm saying? It's not healthy for the country. And if it's great that the people have kept saying yes and yes and yes and yes, but I'm still hearing many people in pain, many people in pain. And and so what are we doing about these people in pain? And I do know that in politics there are many other systems and ways to get people to say yes, to influence the psychology of a person to get them to say yes, even if the yes might be not in their best interest.
Mhm. I agree. I agree. Let me tell you something just occurred to me. Do you remember when Mia Motley won her first term, when she took all the seats?
Yeah.
Do you know she had one of her own senators sit on the opposition side?
Oh, really?
That is how important she understood opposition to be. So somebody could see it from the other side and help critique. One of her own
Yeah.
senators. And so for a long time in this country, we've been, you know, and Montaigne
Yeah.
making people believe that the opposition doesn't mean good. And when we say opposition in Dominica, once we hear opposition, our mind goes to a political party, a group of
I
people sitting in
know.
parliament.
I know.
Opposition doesn't mean opposition party.
Right.
Anybody who has a different
Different
idea
ideas.
can oppose.
Different
And there's
ideas.
nothing wrong in opposing. You understand?
Yeah.
Pretty much is how you oppose. Are your views opposing the current views being put forward?
Are
Views
they
that
logical?
that's right. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But and for a very long time, parties in power have made people to think that people, once you oppose or you have
Yeah.
once you have a different point of view,
Yeah.
you're wrong, or you
I
dislike is
know.
hate, you hate the country, you don't mean well
Yeah.
for the country, and so
Yeah.
on.
That's
You
part of the
understand?
identity formation, the identity politics.
Rosie tried to change that because when Rosie
Mhm.
was in opposition on a number of occasions, he stood up and supported the government on
Yeah.
things they did which were right.
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
And I believe that was beginning to create a different view of what governance and government would be.
A
But
healthier
sadly,
view. A
sadly, we
healthier
fell
view.
back into the divisiveness and
Yeah.
the hatred. Because if you have a different view, and like you rightly said, man, ideas doesn't reside in one man head or one
No,
group's head.
no, no. It cannot. It
You
doesn't
know,
make sense. It doesn't make sense. You know? No, it doesn't make sense. Every corporation, think of a business. You have a CEO. The CEO hires you for this department, you for that department, you for this department. Why? Because the CEO only wants to make all the decisions? No. So that these other people's ideas come to the fore, so that that CEO can be even sharper.
that's right.
Because again, you are very good in one area, but you're not that great in many other areas.
That's right.
So Wincy says, exactly. While people like me, I was a YFM. But yeah, nobody to argue.
Muito,
Argue. No,
muito. I bought you.
party argue. No more argue in YFM.
Hey, Papa.
He said he was in labor when people like us were probably still in YFM. He said
Mhm.
they've used us to secure new constituencies, and the honest truth is that we're treated like last carrot. And so there's more of that. I'm going to give you, I'm not going to give you. I like, it's just, I just think it's, if you're right there at the feet of the master, you're well fed. But then once those concentric circles start widening, you get less and less
Mhm.
and less
Mhm.
and less.
Mhm.
You know.
Mhm.
Hi, Kenneth. Kenneth says, "Boy, shut up. Where you come from? Or you just talking, waiting to get an opportunity? What are your thoughts?"
I know him very well. I wouldn't
Okay.
even I know him very well. His uncle and his um his grandmother and all these people. They are my people. So I wouldn't even, I think he supports his party, he supports his party, and
Yeah.
I mean it hurts for him to have to deal with the facts as I'm putting them forward. But that's all right. I mean, I let him express himself.
Yeah.
Imagine he asking me where I come out. He asking me where I come out. I'll just remind him that I cottaged.
Yes. Well, here's
You
what I
know.
would say. I would say, well, my question to Kenneth, who I taught at St. John's.
Mm,
My response to Kenneth would be to the statement, or you just talking as
mm,
waiting to get an opportunity. I would say, what would be wrong with somebody else waiting to get an opportunity to serve the country?
yeah.
Would
Well,
something be wrong with that? That's not what we're doing. That's not what I'm doing.
well, I have my opportunity here, and that's my opportunity
This
now.
is your
That's the
service.
opportunity I was waiting for, to free
Yeah.
myself and free my spirit and put
Yeah.
myself in the space
Yeah.
where I'm in. So that is the opportunity. I need no other opportunity. I
Yeah.
don't need a political opportunity. My
Yeah.
friend, my brother, I'm not interested in representational politics. I can let you know that. All right, I can let
Yeah.
you know that. So, um, don't stress too much about that. That's all right. I'm not interested in that. I may have no malice in my heart. I'm just saying, all I'm trying to do is just light a little fire under our people's consciousness. That's
Mhm.
all. That's all.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I keep repeating, and Dr. Triffy, I've just been saying that it is up to the people. It's
Mhm.
just I need to be able to say, in other words, my mother would say, "Upeke vini modes away mo de man."
Right. Philip
Kudi mate
Moses
dio.
away. In my
You know?
Edwalin.
So, so that's basically it. It's not about opportunity, my brother. It's not about forget about
So I
opportunity.
think Ken is disagreeing with the plywood and zinc. He says
Mm.
he disagrees that people got plywood and zinc.
He's free to disagree. I have the evidence. He's free to disagree. And again, like I said, I respect him for disagreeing. Um, that's okay. And I would never come here and make such a statement or write that if I wasn't sure that there was evidence and facts to prove that. So I'm not about to call anybody's names here and say
Right,
this
right,
person
right.
what that.
This
That
is
is
not,
not about.
yeah,
That's not what
yeah,
I'm about.
yeah,
My brother. But and I understand you support your party and you support your party rep, and I respect that.
yeah.
But let us not allow those things to cloud our ability to deal with the facts objectively. That's all. And we could move forward together because I'm sure Kenneth means well for the constituency just as
Exactly.
I mean well.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
it's not about
mm-hmm.
you and I fighting over whether I speak in the truth or not,
Yeah.
or whether you think I need an opportunity or I'm looking for an opportunity. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if I wanted the opportunity, you thinking about Modegewete,
Right,
I
right,
would stay
right,
there.
right, 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 right. The other thing to remember is our beliefs, again, our beliefs feel like who we are. So if we believe strongly in a thing, we start to identify with it, many of us. And it's harder for some of us to separate our beliefs, say about a political party, from who we ourselves are. Because many of us take on the identity, say, of blue. I'm a blue, so that means everybody in the ruling party is wicked and evil and greedy and this and that. And if I'm a red, so workers is this and that and da 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 da, without necessarily always just sitting down and really clearly, like I say, becoming a neutral observer, because you can do that. You're not a red or blue. What is
Yep,
that? Is that a thing? Who put that on you? Like, what do you mean? I'm a
yep.
worker. What does that mean? Am I not a worker, even if I'm a laborite? But you knock it off. Yeah, knock it. And I, you are work over there. I labor. I'm a labor. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, so you're liberal that works.
you see what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
yeah, we can really, and it hurts. Let me tell you, it feels like physical pain to the brain when people come up against our beliefs.
yeah.
And so that's and I respect that in people. I know that is very physically painful,
Mm-hmm,
when somebody
mm-hmm,
challenges
mm-hmm.
or identity, if we've
But it
come so
is
far into it.
but it is healthy. You would bear me out on that from your
It is
professional.
healthy.
It is
It is
healthy
healthy.
when people
Yeah.
challenge your thinking,
Yeah.
because what it does, it allows you to step back
Hmm.
and process,
Yeah.
because you may have missed something along the
Yeah.
way, and
Yeah.
you're so settled in your own personal wisdom
Yeah.
that nothing else is right. But then somebody just touches on that and it's like, oops, oh wait,
Yeah.
wait, hold
And
on.
and that gives you an opportunity to go confirm or deny too.
That's right.
You can
That's
go
right.
do your own research and find
That's
out,
right.
was that really
That's right.
true?
That's right.
The other thing I encourage people to do is to keep what's called a growth mindset, where I'm 52. I know everything in the world. That doesn't make sense. I have all the information in the world. That does not make sense. So I have to still stay open to the possibility that this piece of information you're giving me, if I can now corroborate it with evidence, I have to be willing to take that new piece of truth in, if it's truth. Because if I don't do that, that means I am living in a fantasy world.
Mm-hmm.
That is so much worse than
Mm-hmm.
feeling the pain of taking in the new information if there's evidence.
And that is one of the things that saddens me the most. That our people, uh, when you challenge their thinking, it breeds anger, it breeds
It hurts them.
animosity
It
as
hurts them a
against,
lot.
and they're not identifying with their true feeling. So they
Yeah,
mask it by sending fury out
yeah.
when it should be, you know what, let me allow that to
Ask
teach
myself
me
a question.
something. Teach
Mhm.
me something, when I get information. You remember today we spoke about Dominicans not being good consumers of information. When
Yeah,
I got information, let me process it. Let me
yeah,
allow it to help me grow. My friend, you see me speaking now? That's because I have been the target. I've taken a lot
yeah,
of hits. But what I
yeah.
have done, mon kon bef, kon bo
Yeah.
mon manje zeb la, le
Yes,
nan wit vini, mon me viwe. They call that regurgitate. I bring
regurgitate.
it back up and
Yeah,
I process it. I
yeah,
spew out what is not healthy.
exactly,
Saki bon, I take it back in and I
exactly.
allow it to build me. And we
You
should do
know,
more of that.
it's what Jerome says. Indeed, it is a part of growth, because if not, we just stay static. And when you're like that, you become very vulnerable. If it's like in relationships, Man, if somebody know, no matter what they do, they can cheat on you how they want, you still there is love, you love them. That's my woman, I'm not going nowhere. That's my man, I'm not going nowhere. I don't care what they do. I don't want to say anything. You just take it. Like, how can you grow? How can you even help the other person to grow if you
That
don't
is
challenge
why,
them?
that is why, again, Bonji, I keep saying you and I talk about that. Garçon, they'll say, you and I, no ka parler." That is why you and I was speaking. And I said to you, the issue where people tell you, don't listen to that radio station, or don't
Right,
listen to that person because he's lying,
right.
or that man's the only one speaking the truth, is a bad, it's an attempt to condition you.
Control.
Listen, if you hear something you do not understand, you need to get the veracity of it. Ask questions. You
For
cannot ask
yourself.
questions if you didn't hear. So listen, analyze,
For your own
become
self.
analytical, process stuff. As a people in Dominica in this day and age, we need to be much more mature in the way we make decisions.
Yeah.
Let our decisions be informed by analysis,
Yeah.
by we asking questions. Ask the hard questions. The
Yeah.
same way people have been able to come online or go under my post and say, why no? Why
Yeah.
didn't you speak 10 years ago? Why not? And I welcome those questions because allow me to ask myself questions. Ask those questions of your leaders and your
Yeah.
politicians and your church leaders and your sports leaders and
Absolutely.
your community leaders. Ask questions of
Yeah.
them because that is how we make the decision. You see, me, I've arrived at the decision. I think we need an independent candidate in the cottage constituency because I've been able to ask myself many questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Many questions.
Yeah. Look, Leroy says this is a much needed conversation, and Leroy, for me. That's my highest intention, to remind us. I'm telling you, people used to sit down. I know how hoarse I used to get arguing politics, garçon. And for you to tell me, if I say they need to take better care of my father at the hospital, I have to put water in my mouth to say,
That's the part that hurts.
call
When you
you
work, yeah,
crazy.
that's the part that hurts. If anything hurts, my friend Dr. Wallace, if anything hurts, it is that part that hurt. If anything hurts me, it is that when I used my energy and I used my voice to propel and project you as the best thing after sliced bread, I could speak and say anything. Let me tell you, let me
Exactly.
just say something here, my friend. I faced 2 lawsuits in Dominica, 2 lawsuits for saying things given to me by politicians
Mm,
in defense of political parties and people. Okay? And I was the best thing after sliced bread.
right.
I'm using the same energy. It is the same Mervyn with a
Right.
different mindset, a different spiritual trajectory, but
Right.
it's the same Mervyn asking questions of and suddenly I've become the most
Right.
hated person in your circles.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Maki ou vole, maki ou viole,
Right.
madi ou chui moon.
Right.
I am simply saying your leadership, your representation is now at a crossroads where people need to question it and it may require change.
Yes.
And I'm asking people to think and ask themselves whether they don't think that it is time for fresh ideas,
Yeah.
fresh leadership. That's all. What is the issue? Why do you think, and people think I'm jealous of something?
Yeah.
Mon ten yon kay Dominic mon van li.
Yeah.
Mon gaye tel mwen, mon stil ni tel la mon gaye.
Yeah.
Ki sa mon jalou? Ki sa mon jalou?
Yeah. That's just
So that is
those
so
are ways to get you to stop talking. Those are ways to
well,
try to get you to
well,
stop talking.
according to Jerry Lewis, try another strategy. Try another strategy. Ou pas sa chwe mwen. Ou pas sa fwe mwen.
Yeah.
No, it's out of the love I have for people, man.
And it's the
And
higher goal. I'm telling you,
yeah,
in service of the country, we have to ask these questions. Are you going to just Everything somebody tell you, yes, yes, yes,
But
yes,
why?
yes. Who
But why
does?
we? But why we crying on Kim Jong Un?
Right.
Being in power for so long. Why we crying on Putin being in power for so long? Why? Parce que c'est bon, Dominique. Quitter ces noms-là, on we pas. Quitter yo. But we crying on that. We crying on these men holding power for so long.
And we don't want anybody to ask a question here. It does not make sense.
Exactly.
Doesn't
So
make sense.
why are we being hot and cold? Why are we doing
No,
that
it's
to
not.
ourselves? That's
What is the
hypocrisy.
fear about? What is the fear about?
That's it.
What is the
Good
fear about?
question.
Yeah. What is the anxiety about? I would say, no, as a therapist, I would say if an emotion like anxiety shows up, you have to explore that feeling. Why
That's
am I
right.
feeling anxious when
That's
people
right.
bring up these things? What am I afraid of? Am I afraid that the stability I have come to, because for many people, status quo is very safe, it's predictable. At least I know what's happening, even if I'm not happy. Like how many people stay in very painful relationships for a long time. At least better the devil I know than the one I don't know. But at least explore it and own it and come down to that conclusion and say, okay, I understand that there are things that are just really painful for me, but I'm going to stay there anyway. You're doing it as an informed person versus just automatically, no, no, I don't want to hear. No, what you saying that you bad? Why you causing trouble because you having a conversation? What are you talking about?
So true.
Yeah,
So
what are you
true.
talking about?
So true. So it's against all of those thoughts that I will continue to write.
Yeah.
I'll continue to write. I can say it. I mean, I have articles coming. You know, I'm
I mean,
gonna
whose
write.
thoughts are they? No, your thoughts are your thoughts. What, writers are not supposed to write in Dominica anymore? That doesn't make sense. And nor should you want that. A supporter of the party should never want people to be silenced or muzzled. Let me tell you, we forget Samuel Louvain, Saudi, yeah. And a lot of people who have, again, colluded with some wrongdoings and misdoings, right now they're feeling the heat themselves because it cannot always work in your favor. It doesn't always work in your favor. You have to go for the higher goal, which is more better for everybody versus just better for myself. Better for
Politics,
everybody.
politics and religion are two subjects that people feel should not be touched. Politics, for the reason that once you align yourself to a party and it is known that you align to a party, that you should stick to it no matter what. Boat sinking, go down in with the boat.
Mm.
Plane crashing, go down with it. Don't say anything. Don't shout, hello, fire, fire. Hello. No. Religion, people feel, I don't care what my pastor do or what my priest do.
Yeah.
I
Mm-mm.
am not going to say anything. That is not right.
It's not helping the pastor or your politician.
Either. That's right. It
You are
is
out
not
of order.
right.
You're not supporting your person well. The
That's
Bible
right.
we love says we have to chastise the people we love.
Those we
So that
love. He
means
said,
you don't love
he
your
said, those
politician.
we love, he chasteneth.
That means
Yes.
you are not acting out of love. Because let's suppose you see your person going Malka way and they're about to go boo way down a falles. And because you there moo like this, they
Mm.
actually go down the falles.
And
What
you
kind
go
of
with them.
person are
And you
you?
go with them. And you go with them.
You know? What is
And you
wrong
go
with
with them.
you?
And then you're telling me in Dominica today, because you will get a ham Christmas coming up in a couple of months and you're waiting for your ham and your turkey. You don't want to upset the parlor because you don't want to ask him why certain things are not done. Or you don't want to upset the prime minister. So you will not ask him certain questions or you will not say, I disagree. If you're at a point where you're so fearful of speaking your mind because it may send somebody thinking, and let me tell you, a lot of times these guys are not upset, but they know fear intimidates you.
Exactly.
So they use fear
They
to
don't
intimidate you,
care.
but they go back behind the scene and they say, boy, that was a good question. That was
Yes.
true. But they want to keep you where you are. So they use fear. So what they do, they switch the real reaction to fury. How
Yeah.
dare you even ask that? How
Yeah.
dare you even go and say that? How dare you
Yeah.
even write that? So you know just go, moji, moji, moji. Et
Yeah.
last month, okay, I sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
mean it. Pala, quand dit c'est na pala.
And it ought not to be la if your higher goal is for the good of all.
That's right. That's right.
If
That's
your
right.
goal is for your pleasure, your safety, you will do this. If your goal is higher than that,
And I like that point.
you know?
For those of you who thinking or have thought or still thinking, c'est que choy moins li. Well, let me inform you, c'est pas un mon li hod yo. Hod pièce on politician non. C'est pas un mon li. Ou bab moins blanc. I want is for us to take ourselves out of the morass that we're sitting in, the political morass that we're
Yeah.
sitting in.
Yeah.
Take ourselves up. If we continue to rely on politicians, whether Reginald Ostry, whether Skerrit, whether Linton, whether Kent Vital, whether Alex Powell, whether the one in charge of APP, we will simply be going around in circles and
I know.
circles, spinning like a top in mud.
And not growing up and not becoming
right.
fully informed, mature voters and citizens. We have to do better ourselves.
Of course, we have a responsibility.
Yeah.
Dr. Triffy said it earlier on. We have rights, but it comes with responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think you cannot do it for yourself, you have an obligation to those coming after you.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot hand down that legacy to those coming after you.
Because what happens when another party wins? What are you doing?
So it is time we break away from that and we start thinking independent. There's nothing wrong in voting for Labour last election, and because you're not satisfied or they have failed in their responsibilities to vote for another party.
But I mean, that's what.
And then next election you say, oh, let me get somebody else in.
Yes.
All that time what is happening is you're making sure that fresh ideas prevail.
That's it.
And nobody sits too long in a position where they feel they can now do you what they want. Anytime by virtue of your inaction, you allow somebody to control your destiny, you have committed suicide.
Absolutely. You said yes to it. You said yes to it. Yeah. You said yes to it. Yeah. And I mean, everybody, as we start wrapping up, we got about 8 more minutes. Every human being has a right to say, to think, to feel, to be, and to do whatever they want, including you. Including you. You don't need people's permission. You don't need their approval. Huh? You don't realize how much power that little vote of yours has. Maybe that's what you need to remember. Maybe that's what you need to remember. My encouragement tonight as we start wrapping up is to, come on, people. You know, Dominica has been an independent country for many years now.
42.
We ourselves have to be independent. We have to be more independent thinkers. I know this election, there's no way I'm going to be arguing back and forth with people about their ideas and their thoughts. Man, vote for who you want. How is that my business? You understand?
Yeah.
But at least do yourself the favor of educating yourself properly, really thinking through, what am I doing? What am I saying yes to? What am I saying no to?
Can I give you a quick example? So that's a quick before we end.
Oh, yeah.
You remember when we used to have pigs growing up in the place? And you used to say, got some questions like that boy dashing. What do you do? I make it on Bosch. Exactly. Why in its mouth. So every time you do that, it hurts in its mouth.
Exactly.
You cannot do it.
Exactly.
See where Bosch like you make in bush zola. The Bosch they put in your mouth. So every time you try and go forward and it hurts in you and you say, no, take it out.
That's right.
Take it out so nothing will hurt your mouth.
That's right.
It's been hurting you for too long. Take it out.
And the energy is gone the other way around. Politicians, leaders, they are there to serve the community. The community is not there to serve the leaders.
That's right.
Our leaders are here to serve the community. They are not here for us to serve them. Yeah. So we messed up when we said yes to that structure.
That's right.
Yeah. So we've got to, you can keep it going like that if you choose, or Make a change.
Then
It's in a
then
different.
don't, if you choose to keep it going, don't complain.
That's it.
Don't
Just
complain.
yeah, just handle it.
That's right.
You know. Yeah. So yeah, Marvin, I want to say thank you again.
It's been I don't know, for some reason I kind of really liked that discussion. Not that I didn't like the first one, but this one was like, like, yeah, I felt a lot of meat in this one.
Mhm.
I guess the first one probably just lit the platform. But
Yes,
I really
yes.
want to thank you. Like, I compliment you publicly again. The work that you're doing. I tell you, there are people who speak to me about your program that you don't even know. And I mean, I'm talking about people at all stratas and all levels. So, I'm happy to have known you from the time that I did.
3 years
And
old, yo. 3 years old,
yeah,
walking
yeah,
from cottage to Clifton to preschool on you.
that's right.
Yes.
And you've really evolved. But to whom much is given, much is expected. So your work has just started.
Yeah.
I just want to give you the assurance that I'm here, man.
Mm.
Anytime you need to talk. I know. I see that. I see that.
Don't
And,
make us call you the D word, eh?
exactly. All right, good. I just
Don't
buy
make
new one
us-
for Christmas.
yes. One love, my brother. One
Yeah,
love,
man.
Jerome.
Bless you. Hey, yeah, Jerome, man. Jerome, yeah. But I
Yes.
want to thank you
Thank you,
again for really
Leroy.
allowing me to share in this platform with you. And I'm here. I'm available. I have more articles to write. I have more to say. uh, I'm sorry I might be stepping on some toes, but
But
it's
that's what
it's
democracy
it's
is
all
about,
love, man.
isn't
It's
it?
all love. It's all love, and
Yeah.
So I was just happy to share this platform with you again tonight.
Mhm.
And knowing whenever you feel you need me again, I'm here. I'm
Mhm.
available.
Yes,
We can
sir.
we can vibe, man. We
Yes,
can
sir.
vibe.
Yes, sir.
We can vibe.
All right, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you all for showing up and sharing your thoughts. Everybody, because we got to keep. We have voices. We have voices. Like I said, it hurt my heart in the spring when I went home and my father was almost gone, almost left us. He was not yet ready to leave, almost left us because the care he was getting at the hospital was
Left a
not,
lot to be desired.
yeah, it was
Left
not
a
up to
lot to be
par.
desired.
And it is okay to say that. And what was most shocking was that everybody else is saying that, but this person was still afraid that I was saying it and I was saying it loudly. She was afraid they would brand me as negative. And I had to remind her everybody has a right to say, to think, to feel, to be, and do whatever they want,
I hear
including
you.
me. All right?
Yeah, man, Jerome. I see it's Jerome saying you waiting for the next article. It's in the bakery. It's in the oven, man.
By Martin Bakery.
Yes. It's in the bakery, man. It's in the bakery. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, but
Winsty, Peto, Patricia, Jerome, Leroy, all of you guys, Jacqueline, you know, Kenneth, Enrique, Neva, all of you.
yeah, man.
Thank you
Much
for
love.
showing up.
Much love.
All
Much
right.
love. Yeah, man.
Tanya, take it easy. Have a great weekend. Okay. Peace.
Hey, bless you, man. Take care.
Yes, sir.
All
Bye.
right, cool.